All right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. So today, I want to spend on this session anyway. I want to spend a little bit more time flying around with the Archer Midnight, the electronic vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. No. And I want to talk about the future a little bit. So I'm in New York now. I apologize. I haven't flown New York a whole lot. And I guess they're saying that as it's downloading, you can't pre-download anything anymore. So it has to stream it to you. And they say the more you fly an area, the better the graphics in the area will be. So I got in here earlier and tried flying around a little bit to try to get things going. And I've just been clipping along at a pretty slow pace throughout here. So take a look at this bad boy. This is my Batcopter. Ideal for superheroes, man. And your intrepid superhero reporters, right? Gotta be able to fly around, get good photos of whatever the superheroes are doing, and not get killed. And it's going to require you sometimes to go really, really slow, or we shouldn't be running out of fuel. Really? The future. This is the future. You're falling out of the sky. I think it's because I'm in... I'm on unlimited fuel, and I was hoping that would take care of the battery. How silly. Well, restart and show you how simple this thing can be. Now, if I were the developer of this aircraft before Microsoft Flight Simulator released, I think I would have done more, because this is really your demonstration of what's coming, what is coming, and how it's going to, how it might be. And I would have made sure that really everything really works. So right now it's still a little bit buggy. You constantly get these engine malfunction warnings. It has some eccentricities. If you're playing with it's supposed to be controlled with 2 joysticks. Right, so, I mean, if you want to fly it the way it's intended, then you need another joystick. Or they're like, well, then use a Nintendo, or not a Nintendo, or an Xbox game controller. Well, I don't want to use a game controller. I have a joystick, and I want to use that. So that's kind of made it a little bit difficult. But look at how simple the cockpit is, and that's redundant on that side. Okay. So first, let's talk about a couple of things here in the real world. You're starting to see an increase in airline accidents. And sure, you can get political on it, and let's start putting blames on presidents and things. But for the last 20 years, the FAA, AOPA, and other flight organizations have repeatedly said, we are concerned that going into the next 20 years, all of the great legendary pilots of this time are going to start retiring. And we are very concerned that we are not going to have enough qualified pilots to operate aviation fleets. It takes too long. Even with simulators, they don't spend enough time in the simulators. They just don't have the accumulated experience. And even when they do have the required training and required amount of time, they still just don't have enough experience. It just takes so long to create a pilot. And I think you should always learn as much as you can. Okay, so let's go over simplicity here. Let's just put this thing into ground mode. Then I'll kick on our avionics. And so you know, Stuff happens. I'm not going to put blame. I don't want to put blame on these pilots that are having accidents too much. Because here in simulator land, where we spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours flying in a simulator, stuff goes wrong constantly. At least it does for this guy. This Skydude. Okay? And even in the best conditions, stuff happens. Every time you take off, every time you land. And in between ain't so bad. But those are the 2 times you're always rolling the death dice. Look, make no mistake about it, right? Let's admit the cold, hard facts about takeoffs and landings. If anything goes wrong, you're rolling death dice. True or false? Okay, I'm going to click the Sim Actions button over here. And I'm going to go to the charger. Plug it in and set it to 32 times charge rate. Turn on this PFD, we can monitor it. Goes real quick. All right, so you see it's got 2 joysticks, and I think, again, that's kind of the way I think they want you to fly. But, okay, buttons we're going to concern ourselves with. This one doesn't really work. It's this one here. Pushing this button forward will accelerate the aircraft into full flight. So let's just call it like full flight level 1, full flight level 2. So you click it one time and you'll go into full flight. When you click it the second time, you go into cruise speed. All right. Now, if you click it on the, down, backwards, you slow down from cruise to like 97 knots, I think it is, for full flight. And then it goes up to like 120, I think, for cruise. So you click it back, it'll take it back to 97. You click it again, and it'll make it decelerate into a hover. All right. On the joystick, it's not exactly like you're twisting and you're yawing. The yawing isn't done with the twist now. You just actually turn like you're using your ailerons to turn left and right. And that will rotate or yaw. Now the yaw, twisting on the joystick, will make it slew. Left and right. Very, very slow at this point. These aren't high performance these are not high performance. That's not the goal of this. The goal is to get you from point A to point B as safely as possible. And as simply as possible. And get somebody trained in one of these, and somebody who is actually a trained pilot, okay? Let's just start there. Somebody who knows how to fly. Give them 1 day. Heck, give them 1 hour. Give yourself 1 hour. And you'll get it. Give yourself an entire day at this thing. Yeah. All right. Now, I'm already running into some pilots who are like, okay, Henning. Some pilots are already like, well, this isn't flying. And I understand that. People are going to want to fly traditional stuff for a long time going forward. But if that's not your concern, your concern is getting from point A to point B, not dying. Getting your cargo, getting your passengers, whatever it is, getting yourself from point A to point B without dying. I'm going to switch this into fly mode now and unplug the charger and go back. Okay. When I put it into fly mode, you'll see the nacelles do their rotation. So I'm all about fully computerized. I've always been about, once I learned how to fly, I wanted to immediately instrument flying, being proficient at instrument flying, and being proficient at using autopilot for as much as possible. letting the computer do as much as possible. In airliners, understanding the MCDU, how to use it. The only time I want to be on the controls is the death dice. Takeoff and landing. Other than that, look, and your understanding of that computer to do whatever you need it to do. We haven't even gotten into the aspect of artificial intelligence, artificially intelligent assisted aviation. All right. So now we've got it in fly mode. All we need to do is just either pull back or pull forward. Pulling back will raise us up, and pushing forward on the joystick will lower us back to the ground. This thing does have an auto assist, which helicopters don't even have. Meaning auto assist landing, meaning I'll shove it all the way forward to come down. It'll make sure that we touch down softly. I just finished doing helicopter certification. There's no such thing in helicopters. There's no auto assist landing. And if you aren't very good on the controls, smack down all the time. Why helicopters don't have the world's greatest shock absorbers? Maybe they do, but doesn't seem to. Hey, let's make something you have to land and totally slam yourself into the ground, but let's not put giant racing Baja shock absorbers on the entire thing. Whoop. All right, so I just pull back on the joystick and we're up. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna get, again, there's nothing out there at the moment that's saying why we're experiencing all these engine failures. They really do need to make sure that this is tip top, because you are representing the future of aviation at this point. All right, like I said, if I twist the joystick, so I'll twist it to the right, and because it's a joystick, I'm going to get a little bit of turning in there. But you see that now I'm slewing sideways. All right, let go and twist back the other direction. Okay. Want to go back down? Push down. Yeah, and I'll show you the auto-assisted landing. It just controls it all the way down. Yeah. Nice and easy, right? No death dice roll. Now, something I figured out here, I've already told you about using this button to transition to forward flight, okay? I'm like, how do you just dial in your speed? That's got to be a feature of these, and it is possible. On the joystick, on the way it's defaulting, I've got my throttle slider on my joystick, and you might have a throttle slide knob too on yours. Okay, if I bring the knob all the way forward and then back to center and then push it forward again, I can increase my speed by 1 knot at a time. We're doing 2 knots now, so I'll pull it back to the center and push it forward again. Now we've got 3 knots. Center, forward, 4 knots. Center, forward. It's tedious, but at the moment I don't have a controller or a way to set it up to just dial it in, just whatever. But either way, it works. We're doing 5 knots. Right? Easy peasy. That's why I mean this is ideal for the superhero type, right? You gotta stealthily move through the night, through the vast jungle of buildings. Head. Keeping the eye out for your nemesis. Right? So you need to be able to like cruise around like Batman. And I think I can get this thing up to, I don't know, I could just sit here and keep doing it. Probably 50 knots. But we have that ability to dial in the speed that we need, right? I'm sure they're going to come out with anti-collision technology. And again, this is just a start, but what a lovely start. All right, let me start coming up and I'll transition. Again, apologies, I don't fly New York much, so, you know, it takes a while for it to load everything, and there's no way to pre-download the maps at the moment. People are screaming for it. They're like, stop that. They're like, well, you gotta fly around it, and it'll stream it to you. Come on. A little higher. We don't want our superhero Batwing go smacking into anything. All right, so like I said, there's 2 stages of flight. Push this button one time. Keep your eye here. So right now it's telling us we're in a hover hold. Although, you know, we're still doing 20 knots, but hover hold. Okay, push this knob forward one time. Like push it or roll your mouse wheel 1 notch. Okay. Now we're in hover accelerate, and it's going to go to 96 knots. Keep your eye on the nacelles. Computerized, it transitions, just makes the transition nice and smooth for you. Right? Okay. So now let me press that button one more time and we'll go to cruise speed, or roll your mouse wheel. Hover over that knob and that button and roll the mouse wheel one time. Speed accelerate. So now we're going to 117 knots. So, some folks are already saying, well, that's not flying. Well, this is flying. I mean, what's the difference? All we're doing is taking the death dice. We're eliminating the chances of death dice rolling on takeoff and landings. You're still flying. You can still fly. You're doing a lot of commercial stuff. You know, you're still going to be using your autopilot and flight plans and so let's get over Madison Square Garden. Let's start slowing down. So let me come back down to this knob, hover over it, and roll the mouse wheel back one time. There's speed decelerate back to 96 knots. Up a little. Getting close. Let me do it again. Now it's going to speed decelerate into hover. Our nemesis is somewhere in Madison Square Garden. Might be watching a boxing match. You know how they like their boxing matches. One moment, Alfred, I'm trying to get closer to the roof. I might have to make a descent into Madison Square Garden. You're not close enough, Master Bruce. Ah, that's easy enough, Alfred. Just inch forward here at 6 knots. while lowering our superhero copter EVTOL towards the roof. I believe I can make an egress in the center, Alfred. An ingress and an egress. So do the same thing. Rock my... Uh-oh, I've sped up. Oh no! Alfred! Emergency, Alfred! Gotta... Ended up speeding us up. So I wish I had a little bit faster dial. There's 8, 6, 5, 3. And I believe we can go backwards. There's 1 knot. We're not getting a reading, but it looks like we might be going backwards. All right, let me just turn. There's 1 knot again. All right. So you get my point. You know, other than even a helicopter, I mean, helicopters are cool, but I think this is better because, again, you've got the ability to transition to flight. So again, I don't believe people are going to be giving up learning how and flying traditional aircraft, and everything as of right now is obsolete and traditional. I won't say obsolete, but really, as we move forward in the next 20, 50, 100 years, I don't believe people are going to continue flying traditional aircraft. I think there will always be people to fly them, but I think the majority, you know, they want video game ease and safety. 10 years from now, we're going to probably be able to tell people, get in it and tell it where you want to go. If you don't know how to fly, just get in it and tell it where you want to go. Other than that, if you do know how to fly, then, you know, spend a day learning how to use it and just have the AI help you when you need it. All right, let's transition again. What's our battery? Okay. I'd actually better get down and... All right, let's find the nearest helipad, right? So it does got an autopilot. Nearest. Airport. LaGuardia. All right. Let's transition. Yep, ideal for following superheroes around. For the Daily Bugle. All right, so let me put on the autopilot, turn on nav. And off we go. Giving us time to do a little bit of a smoke break. Smoke, have you got him? What time is it? Yeah, 26 minutes after the hour. All right, put it into cruise. Even airliners, I mean, that most recent horrible tragedy of the Black Hawk running into the damn airplane. There was, you know, I mean, yeah, horrible. But if they can scale this up, which they can, I mean, we already see it in the Osprey technology. It can be done. And I believe the Osprey are heavy lifters as well. They can be. So transitioning entire airlines into EVTOL, you would never have another crash like that again. Because a plane doesn't have to come in at 140 knots to do a landing. Even that Vince Neil jet, right? He has to come in and land you have to land these little tiny jets like the Honda jet and the Cirrus jet at 140 to 120 knots. That's too much. Massive masses of hurtling death. And again, there's nothing stopping this technology now from all the variants that you would want. Super high performance. Way more directional control. Think about all the things that you could do now, all the different variations that you want. I mean, again, this is the safe and the slow model. So even our descent now, there isn't a rapid descent. The superhero descent. Superhero takeoff. You know, superhero speed. But look at the way that the current level of like drone racing technology and the ability that some of these drone aircraft have, there's nothing stopping us now with this kind of technology from having aircraft that can perform however you want. Imagine I thought the Jetson would be a little bit faster, and I haven't tried the Jetson running around New York City yet. But something even a little bit zippier. Penny in Germany was commenting, he's like, I thought it was going to be a little bit more zippy. Yeah, me too. But eventually, yeah. So, you know, imagine flying something like that around in between the buildings of New York City back there. Now, the Joby is another one that made by the same developer, and the Jetson. Those are the other two. The Jetson is a single-man personal craft. The Joby is a 4-seater. This is a 8-seater. 6 to 8, I think. Yeah, I don't even have to watch the ground. I just keep pushing the joystick forward as I'm turning the camera around. I know that it's auto-assisted landing. I don't have to worry about anything. I wish I could get the autopilot, and maybe in the future they'll do it. The autopilot to work in at any speed. Right now, it only seems to kick in when you're in flight, and that's been another topic of mine too. Is that we don't have micro navigation. Okay, everything that we're navigating with here is standard aviation navigation. We're going from VORs, NDBs. Okay, there is no Bing Maps navigation. There is no way for me to go, how do I get to the nearest Walmart? How do I get to Madison Square Gardens? How do I get to all these points of interest, all these places? How do I get to Grandma's house in Sheboygan? There is no fine micro navigation yet. So I think that I'm hoping that Elon and everybody else in the FAA, you know, I think that's where we're going. Because they're talking about these as taxi services and taxis, and oh, this will do 100 miles or more. So you can do cross countries in these. The battery technology, of course, has got to improve. Can't have people falling out of the sky. Just, they need auto rotation like helicopter technology on these. So then, you know, when the battery dies on these, you're screwed. There's no controlling it easily down to the ground, and they've got to build those kind of fail safes into things. Now let's recharge our battery. Your ability when things go wrong, you know, you're like, well, again, maybe I don't feel like I'm a pilot anymore with this kind of stuff. You know, the more knowledge you have, the better off you are in any situation. If you're a pilot and you have to fly one of these, if something, you know, does go wrong, you know, you're the superhero. You have, you know, more knowledge and experience to deal with things. Okay. And we're off. Easy peasy. Okay, so got a VOR to go to. And in the cruise. It's just a dream for somebody like me. This is just a dream. This is such a dream. I've since I was a little boy, my dad flew. He did not get his instrument flight rating, instrument flying. And he had one of those situations where he unfortunately did not do enough planning before a flight. You know, guys in the 70s, things were different, you know, things were just a little bit different. Men of great ability, though, that could just, hey, I'm going to go do this and just go do it, you know. Anyway, he got caught in a no visibility situation and didn't have his instrument rating and wasn't experienced enough and got himself into trouble and had to be directed by air traffic control. And, you know, that comes with penalties, and that'll stop you right in your tracks. So I was always bound and determined to learn how to be, you know, maybe if I ever did fly, to be instrument rated. So as soon as I started simming, really trying to hit the books and do it and learn it and learn it and learn how to do everything. Learn VFR and learn IFR, learn to become a master of the autopilot. So that I would never have a problem like that. And again, over the year, the only problems occur, really, again, are in landing. I don't seem to have too many other problems. You know, everything else, you can kind of, you know, doing your maps and doing your flight planning, getting your altitudes, everything, all that. You can do as much planning as you want, but then you come in for a landing and the death dice. As a Star Wars and a Star Trek, mostly Star Trek, as a Star Trek kid, this is what I want. Said if I ever do, because of all the years I've been simming now, everybody's like, are you going to go learn how to fly? If I do, I don't know that I would ever want to take anybody up with me. Ever. I don't want to be responsible for people's lives. I don't know how commercial pilots do it, because stuff always goes wrong. You know, something always can go wrong and usually does. I should turn off the autopilot. Oops. Was off. Trying to throw myself at the ground, and it just, you know, in any other aircraft, you're going into the ground. This is like, cool, man. We'll get you down to the ground, man. Ooh. That's right. Just point straight at the ground. Dive. Like the F-35 in a lot of ways, you don't have to worry. Yeah, we're gonna need some micro navigation. I need to know how to get to Home Depot. I need Bing Maps navigation. I need to be able to come over here and use our controls here and search for the best deli, the best deli in New York City, and go to it. The best pizza in New York City. The best comic book shop in New York City. The oldest comic book shop in New York City. Walmart, Grandma's house. We didn't use much fuel at all on that one. For that little hop there. Pretty too. Yeah, and you can imagine this thing being painted up to be your ideal supermobile, super thing. You can take off traditionally with this thing, as I understand as well. You don't have to use the EVTOL. You could use the runway. But why? Unlike a helicopter, you're not worrying about your cyclic, which you're constantly messing with. You don't have to muck about with your collective, really. I mean, it's just kind of up and down. Yeah, if you've never flown before at all, you're just watching this because, wow, that looks neat. Hell. What am I looking at? You never flown before, and you're like, I don't even know if that I'd want to get into a flight sim. I mean, yeah, sure, I'd like to fly, but oh my god, the expense and the time, and I mean, that's a whole lifetime. Not anymore, man. Madam. Person. This is it. This is not science fiction. This is being certified for taxi and cross-country use. Again, they haven't worked out the micro navigation, but I mean, that's coming. One day of messing around with this thing. Yeah, I don't even think it would take that long. I think, again, just give yourself a couple hours. I think you can start to call yourself a pilot. I'm not kidding. Learn how to use the autopilot and learn about navigation. And you're set. Thinking, man, I'd like to maybe do something like this as a career with the second half of my life. Yeah, why not? The more you know, the better your chances, but for the most part, this is going to be like, you must have a high school degree, you must have a high school diploma. That you must have, he'd be able to operate a motor vehicle, a driver's license. Think about all the pirates, it's hilarious. Think about all the pilots that are forced to retire because of a certain age. Or, you know, they don't want you flying anymore because it's, you know, it's too much responsibility. It's not, you know, you were unsafe. Not anymore. Now all those legendary pilots, they can keep flying until they expire, because by the time, I mean, by the time this live stream is done, these things are going to be able to be ran by Grok. Right? Isn't that Elon's thing? They probably have one specifically for an AI for the SpaceX stuff. So literally till you expire, because you can expire in this thing and the AI will go, oh, you have expired. I think I will continue getting you to your destination and alert the proper emergency services and authorities. Nobody's gonna die. You did, but your passengers won't. Your cargo didn't. The plane's not gonna go down. Getting some lag. It's trying again. I don't fly New York, and so it's trying to load it and send all the information to me and stream it. So yeah. And as you can see, it's a pretty congested area. Maybe start and get us over to an area where it's not trying to stream everything to us. Also, hey, you know, you're like, I don't really want to fly. I'd really like to get Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 because I want to do all the sightseeing. I want to go check out everything. I can't afford to travel the world, but I would still love to kind of experience all these cool places and see what the world looks like. But I don't know how to fly, and I don't think I want to take the time to learn how to fly. Well, you don't have to. I mean, now you can go anywhere in Microsoft Flight Simulator and check out anything you want at your leisure. She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful, and I tip my hat to the developers of the real thing, and for them to put it into the simulator for us to play with. I'm in love. I want to be able to use these in company career mode. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to use these. Somebody said you can't. I don't understand why. It's part of your standard package. You didn't have to spend extra to get it, just the base package. So they need to make that happen. I'm really dissatisfied with career mode in general, that it's not as groovy as Neofly. And I can't believe I'm saying that. In a lot of ways, Neofly as a career app for Microsoft Flight Simulator is better. And I dislike saying that. You can at least rent by whatever plane you want to use. And lots of different types of missions. They're not all the same. I'm sad I bought the Skyvan for that specific purpose, because doing Neofly, I'm like, oh, you reach a point where you can get a Caravan, and then you can really start making some money on cargo runs. And I'm like, oh, okay. I would love to have something that's just bigger than the Caravan, but I don't want to go all the way up into like jets. So then the Skyvan comes out. Perfect. I want to get that, and I want to use that for when career mode happens, and I can't use it. Don't like it one bit. All right, well, I think I'm going to wrap that up. I think I've made my point with this. I think now I'm going to end this one. And I apologize for a couple episodes ago where the front half of the live stream, I had it on the wrong screen. You couldn't see anything. I did try to edit it out, and I thought it was editing it out. Well, somebody wrote me, and they're like, don't you know about editing? You should edit that part out. I'm like, I thought I had. And then it takes forever for YouTube to update your videos sometimes. So I apologize, but thank you at the same time for making me aware that the cut didn't take. So I went back in there right away and cut it again and hit save, and it's trying to reprocess that now. And on my helicopter certification, since I just failed the person, I just went and chopped that out. So I apologize as well, but I have been on a long break, and sometimes you get a little rusty and sometimes you get a little nervous, and I got a little nervous and wasn't paying attention and wasn't on the right screen. So, all right, so let me wrap this up here and figure out what I want to do next. So I'll start another live stream in about, well, probably the top of the next hour. So, cheers. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.